Hey guys, welcome back to Clash with Corey. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell. Today we're going to be talking all about bowlers and witch strategies. Some different variations of those at Town Hall 11 and at Town Hall 10 because they're pretty similar.
Nerf this!
So the main idea of bowler and witch strategies is to have a core push that goes all the way through base while also having troops on the edge, clearing those outer defenses around the outside ring of the base as well. So probably one of the first things that you want to look at in a bowler witch attack, or bowler or witch strategy, or a combination of the two, is going to be how are you going to path your main group of troops all the way through that base. You want to get them almost all the way to the other side. They don't have to quite break out, but they got to be able to reach these buildings on the very back end of the base. So you got to have a combination of wall wrecker and jumps is what it comes down to now. Getting that troop through the entire base. Jono's doing it on this one with a combination of 2 jumps and a wall wrecker that's going to make it a really long way into this base. He chooses to use a jump beside the wall wrecker so that he has access over to that other inferno over there, can get kind of a bigger group of troops into this base on time. So one of the things you got to look at while pathing through that base is, are you going to take out the high value defenses? At Town Hall 10, that's going to be usually just Infernos, but you do have to have access to the rest of the base. At Town Hall 11, it's going to include Infernos and the Eagle Artillery, very high value defenses. Another thing you want to look at is, what are the Infernos set to? Because I can tell you, if they're set to multi-target, you're going to have a little bit harder time. You're going to have to work a little harder to have a successful bowler witch attack because multis are very, very dangerous to bowlers and witches. Neither bowlers or witches have a lot of health, and multi-targets really can't be tanked that effectively because they have 5 separate beams that go to 5 different units. So they'll melt skellies really fast, and they melt bowlers and witches pretty fast too. So you want to have a plan for multi-target Infernos because they're very dangerous this attack. You want to be able to either heal through them, freeze them for a time, or destroy them quickly. If you have a large troop coming right up to one and you can rage it up and get it down before it can do too much damage, that will work as well. But have a plan for those multi-target Infernos. Now, I wouldn't discount single-target Infernos, although they're quite a bit easier to deal with on a bowler witch strategy attack. You basically just want to keep those off of your tanky troops, so you really don't have to do anything to them unless they lock onto your king or your wall wrecker or your queen. But you got to keep an eye on them. If they get locked onto one of those, have a plan in place. Either rage to destroy it quickly, or having a freeze or 2 is pretty handy in those situations as well. You want to keep those tanks alive. We already talked about bowlers and witches not having a lot of health, so if you can keep a tank out in front of them, you're going to have a lot more success keeping that heavy firepower off of your main group through the core of the base. Another thing, keep an eye out going through the core is splash damage. Giant bombs, bomb towers, and any sort of loons or even Valkyries in enemy CC that do just massive amounts of splash damage really quick. Once again, bowlers and witches don't have a lot of health, so if the base is already scouted and you know there's a giant bomb there, if you know there's a bomb tower there, or you're going to be encountering a loon from the enemy CC, you can try to have tanks out in front of it, but that's not always reliable. It can be really helpful to have a heal and have it pre-placed over that section just so that you're ready to immediately heal those bowlers and or witches back up to full health, keep them alive, pushing through the core of that base. So now we've talked about how to get through the core of that base successfully. You need to be able to reach all the way to the backside of the base. You need to be able to reach the high value defenses. Look, John's coming in contact with a multi-target Inferno there. Doesn't have a healer or freeze, so he goes ahead and uses a rage to try and get it down quickly. But it didn't go down that quick, so he lost a lot of bowlers and several witches right there. But luckily, the rest of this attack's going strong enough that he's still going to pull this one off. That just goes to show how dangerous those multi-target Infernos can be to bowlers and witches. So now let's talk about the edges, because that's another thing. You got to have your core push going through the base. That's essential. You got to take out those high value defenses on the way, but you want to have edge troops surviving too, because usually at the end of the raid, when your core push is gone, you'll see all the troops in the middle of the core dead. He's still got heroes, but he's also got some witches coming around the outside to finish off the rest of this raid, and that's what you're looking to happen on this. You want something to survive on your edges, be able to come and tank and take out those last few defenses. Right here, this witch is the skelly spawned by that witch, we're tanking for that queen, so she's still got her ability intact. Beautiful. Gonna smash this one. Tons of skellies still up. All heroes still up at that point, I believe. So let's take a closer look at what you're going to look for on those edges to keep troops alive. So once again, splash damage, very, very dangerous on the edges. It's going to be able to take out all your skellies immediately, leaving your witches and or bowlers open to all the point defense attacks and splash damage attacks as well. Let me go find our next replay. Now we're getting into the Town Hall 10 replays. Got 3 of those for you as well after those 2 Town Hall 11 replays. Ooh, here's actually a frozen witch. So definitely a different strategy, but it's using the same principles. You're sending groups around the edge, and you're getting your core push all the way through. The difference with the frozen witch is you're using your freeze spells to keep your wall wrecker alive and breaking through that entire base instead of jumps usually. So when you're able to use the freeze spells to keep freezing everything that's targeting your wall wrecker, it stays alive, and it gets you access through that whole base. So it's the same principles done with little different strategy. So splash damage on the edges, very dangerous. What you're looking for there, you're looking for wizard towers, giant bomb locations on the outside of a base, which is very common in this meta, very dangerous. Of course, bomb towers on the edge, and to a lesser degree, mortars. They don't do as much damage as the wizard towers, the bomb towers, but still they are dangerous. If you drop your witches in a spot or bowlers on a spot that the mortar immediately locks onto them, it's not going to change targets. It's going to keep locked onto them until they're dead. Also, it can make skellies disappear with one mortar drop. Once again, leaving your witches or bowlers open to just being taken out really quickly by the point defenses in the base. So a few different ways to deal with that. One of the ways is tanking. Sometimes you can send a king or a P.E.K.K.A. or some giants either right inside the base to tank that splash damage as you go, or around the outside of the base sometimes too to tank that splash damage. Another way to deal with it is healers. But when you're using healers, you got to take a look at where the air defenses are, because where there's air defenses, there's going to be black bombs. So if there's a chance that those seeking air mines, the black bombs, are going to be able to take out your healers, or the air defenses are going to be able to target your healers, then you might want to go a different direction with it. Maybe try and think of a way to use tanks on those edges instead of the healers. It all depends on the base. So very nice frozen witch here. It has to end on a multi-target. That's pretty dangerous, but those 2 healers that were still up really kind of saved that raid and helped finish it off. If it's locked onto something that's being healed, it's not going to be able to take it out. So even though it can melt pretty much everything else that's not being healed, healers, if you still got them up, are definitely the kryptonite for multi-target infernos. So let's look at our next replay here. We got number 29. So now that I'm kind of through the basics of this, let's see if we can break down one of these attacks a little bit. Mad Raven's coming in. So many different options for tanking inside the base too. Sometimes you want to use giants. You can use golems if you want. Sometimes it's going to be just a wrecker. It all depends on the base and what you're trying to get. So Mad Raven's using a couple golems on this one. No witches, but he's also got a P.E.K.K.A. Looks like that P.E.K.K.A. is going to be going around one side of that base. If it funnels outside, we'll see. Very nice freeze there. Going to be able to get both the enemy CC and that single target Inferno frozen at the same time. Has a heal pre-placed in that section because he knows those loon drops are very, very dangerous to any bowlers and witches in there. So he goes ahead and pre-places that heal to get that area really taken care of. Has a second heal, which I assume is going to go down in this middle compartment here. Oh, yeah. Come on, get that heal down. All right. So it places it pretty aggressively, pretty far forward there, but it ends up working out and really covering that group on the back end of this base very, very nicely. Now, unfortunately, it didn't have anything that went around the outsides of the base. It all kind of went through the core, but luckily that's still going to be enough. You'll see right here, look at these giant bomb locations right there and right there. Very, very common as a way of defending both, bowler and witch attack strategies, and, defending hogs as well by having them between a couple defenses on the outside where somebody's not expecting it, away from splash damage where they wouldn't otherwise have to heal. So really common to see outside giant bombs on this meta. So this one's going to come down to the wire a little bit since those edges got taken out. But man, look at that golem coming out in the back end of this base to tank in front of the queen and get the rest of this base taken out. You know, I can see why I didn't want to use healers on this because of the location of those air defenses. They were tucked in an area where they couldn't be reached from the outside of the base, but they could have reached healers. So I'm thinking that's why Mad Raven chose to go with more tanking and no healers for those side flanks. But in this situation, you know, if you don't have any healers on those side flanks, like we saw here, you definitely run the risk of having those side flanks die. And a lot of times that means you're going to fall short on this, but not this time. Not this time. Mad Raven's going to get this one taken out. Now, this last example is kind of crazy. Oh, we got a live attack there, but I don't know. I'm going to stick with the video. We got 5 attacks going in it, so I think it's probably already going to be plenty long enough. This was kind of a crazy, interesting attack to me because it really didn't follow the core principle that we talked about pathing through those high-value defenses. Now, I'm not sure if Bebo meant to place the wrecker a little differently here and get access to this Inferno Tower, but from where she goes into it, oh, you know what? Man, I'm tripping. All right, this is only 2 tiles in between here. So from this compartment right here, Bebo's Queen is going to be able to reach that single target Inferno. I was kind of wondering, like, man, how did this even happen? It is an interesting attack though because it's like a Frozen Witch composition, but only with 2 freezes. So as a result, that wall wrecker goes down really early. This is not an attack that I would have thought to do, just because with that Frozen Witch, generally you want to keep that wall wrecker alive and breaking through that base. But she elects to bring a heal and extra rage instead, and you know, that is going to keep the core push going alive through the back end of this base, and this time it works. But I thought it was really interesting because I don't know, you know, usually you want to have a plan to get your troops through to the backside of the base, either a combination of jumps, or with the Frozen Witches, you generally don't need a jump. You just use enough freezes on your wall wrecker that it gets you access all the way to the back end of that base. So gonna get stuck on some walls here, but luckily her healed flanks of witches are gonna stay up really strong. Now over on this right hand side, there was some air defenses, and as a result, did lose one healer. Pretty lucky on that side. Only lost 1 healer to a black bomb by an air defense. But on this left-hand side here, where we have 2 healers, of course, they got distracted, and they're on a king who's beating on a wall. But those 2 healers are still up, because there was no air defenses at all on that side whatsoever. And so that side is an excellent candidate to send a couple healers down there with, you know, witches and or bowlers down that flank, because if there's no air defenses over there, then there's a really good chance that that flank is going to stay alive. Those healers are going to stay alive, and they're going to keep that flank alive. And if you can keep that flank alive through the rest of the base, you have a really good chance of being able to finish off the rest of it. So hope you liked the videos. Hope I didn't leave anything out. You know, that's always a worry when you do a video. What did I forget? And you know, probably an hour from now, I'll be like, oh my god, I left out something extremely important. But you know what? Maybe I'll catch it in the next video. But, you know, at least for right now, I think I covered all the basics. I hope you guys liked the video. Hey, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out, man, and shows your support, and I would really appreciate it. Also, check out the details below my videos when you get a chance. I've got really good resources for you in there. I have links to my Discord server, which is the best way to get a hold of me. I have links to WHF's recruiting Discord server if you're interested in joining the WHF family. It's amazing. Come on over. Come hang out in WHF. We'd love to have you. So check out the details for that in our Discord server. You do need to have max heroes for your Town Hall level, Town Hall 10, 11, and 12. We're always recruiting. Also have links to WHF's live streamers if you want to see some of our CWL wars as they're happening live in the Invite Division. All really close wars. Great attacks, really fun to be a part of and watch the end of. Follow our live streamers. I got links to them too in the links below in the description of my video. So I will see you guys in the next video.
Nerf this!